Hey everyone, Robert Ferringo here once again with my main man, Raphael Esparza. We are bringing you What Are the Odds? We are two of the top handicappers from Docs Sports Services, the number one name in the sports information industry. Happy Friday to everyone out there. Happy Friday to you, Raphael. We got another big weekend of action, playoffs still in full swing, baseball heating up, and WNBA just sneaking up around the corner next week, tipping off next Friday, along with the Preakness. This Saturday, there's UFC. I know it feels like a downtime on the sports betting calendar. It's really not, though, Raphael. Like, with all of these sports that maybe don't garner as much focus and attention as, say, the NCAA tournament or football weekends. You've been behind the counter. Explain to me kind of the disadvantage that the odds makers might be at right now with so much little action going on all over the board that maybe you can find some soft lines out there. Do you subscribe to that theory?
Yeah, but also I want to think about what color is money, Ringo?
It's green, baby.
So it's green in the NFL, correct?
Yes.
Wouldn't it be the same for WNBA, CFL,
Spends the
UF?
same.
Okay, just want to make sure.
Spends the same at my grocery store. At the grocery store I am going to, that money spends the same.
And the reason why I'm joking on that, because it is truth. I mean, just because there's no football, there's no March Madness, there's still opportunities out there to beat the books out there. Sometimes you may get a bad line. Follow the line movement. Yesterday, Dodgers, huge favorite early in the morning, and Arizona money came all last night. What happened? Arizona beat the Dodgers. You could have got some really good plus money, even open up at +1.5 plus money on Arizona money line early in the morning. So there's a really good opportunity to make money just because they don't use a pigskin or college hoops. There's other ways you can still make cash.
I love that you pointed out that Dodgers Diamondbacks line movement. We are going to get to them at the end when we talk about MLB. That's one of the series that I wanted to pick your brain about, particularly Friday night's line. But we're going to start off in the NBA because you mentioned line movements, and we're seeing a big one here on Friday in this Cleveland-Indiana game. I went to bed. The number was 2.5. Wake up, it's 2.5. As of 2 o'clock Eastern time right now, I'm seeing 5.5 out there. Now, my assumption is that this means that most of Cleveland's injured players are playing. Darius Garland is the big one. Evan Mobley probably more important because they need his size. But in terms of movement on the number, I feel like Darius Garland is probably the most important of the three guys that are injured, DeAndre Hunter being the third. Raphael, my expectation tonight is that all three of them are going to suit up and play. What are you hearing, and what are you taking away from this line movement?
I'm hearing 2 out of the 3. I'm hearing Hunter's thumb. I think it's his thumb or wrist is much more probable of an injury than the other 2. I think Mobley's going to play, and I think Garland has to play. They're down 0-2. I mean, Garland, you should have played the last game. I'm sorry, but stretch it out. Whatever your injury was, you need to play. You could not leave Cleveland 0-2. You need to leave Cleveland 1-1. Now they travel to Indiana, which, wow, totally disrespect for the Pacers. I mean, even if Cleveland is healthy, I mean, those guys coming in, how healthy are they going to be? So I'm kind of like the plus points. I'm hoping more money continues to come in on the Indiana Pacers because I like the Pacers, even though I'm leaning towards the over more because let's face it, the Eastern Conference game right now we're talking about is going to be an over machine. You can't make this high. I'm shocked that they didn't make this total 229. Show is called What Are the Odds? Odds makers, what were you doing? You knew the betting public was going to push this to 230, and it's probably going to be 231, 231.5 by tip-off. Why would you get all that money early? I just don't understand why they made it 228 when they knew that this series was going to be a bunch of buckets being scored.
Do you like the over in this game 3 matchup? And how high would that number have to move for you to maybe back off?
It's funny how you say it because I'm actually looking for a middle spot right now because this total opened up at 228.5, and I jumped on it right now. So if I can get a 231.5, or maybe look at live betting and see if 232, 233 pops up, I'm probably going to try to see if I can get a middle spot. But I just think that we're going to see a lot of points scored because Pacers are going to score. Remember in the beginning of the season, all they did was run, score. They played no defense. Like Cleveland's going to have to be that type of offense, just keep on running with them if they want to try to steal this game. So I would not shock me if this game right here goes over and maybe the late game doesn't.
How much of that 3-point line movement that we're seeing do you attribute to odds makers saying these players are worth these points on the number? And how much of it do you attribute to it being maybe a little bit of a public rush, kind of a little land rush here, that people started betting Cleveland, especially at that 2.5? Oh, guys might play. I'm going to bet it at 3.5. Then every bettor sees that number starting to move. And they're like, hey, I might as well grab 3.5 or 4 because this thing is steaming. How much of that was momentum from the public betting on the Cavaliers today? And how much of it was the odds makers just saying, okay, this guy's playing, we're adjusting the line this number of points?
I think it was the injuries of coming in and odds makers who are just adjusting it with these guys playing. But at the same time, they're such a good spot in this series because everyone didn't think Indiana had a shot. Everyone thought the number one seed was going to gentleman sweep, maybe Pacers winning one game, and then boom, all of a sudden they cleaned up on the series price as of right now. So they have a little bit of leeway. They're probably like, hey, you know what? We'll just move it right here. We're in a cushion no matter what right now with Indiana being up 2-0. Same thing with the Boston Knicks series. They're in they're in a better cushion in that series than they are in this series. But I think a mix of both. But I think they knew Mobley and them are probably going to play, and they figured the bettors were jump all over the window thinking it's crunch time for Cleveland.
I haven't looked yet. I looked at the Boston New York series price after New York went up 2-0. They're up 2-0 in that series. That series price is still even money.
I can't believe that.
I have not looked at the Indiana Cleveland series price yet, but I wonder if we're going to be seeing something similar. And yeah, can we just talk about how ridiculous that is? That, but listen, Boston may come back and win the series. I'm not saying it's over, it's done, right down. It's sports, right? It's a playoffs. Like it could happen. But I am saying that those numbers are ridiculous. Like those odds are insane that New York won the first 2 games on the road. They now have home court with 3 of the next 5 games at home. They have a 2-0 series lead, which is hard to come back from. And you're telling me that it's even money for the Knicks to win? Like, why shouldn't we all be pounding that?
Or shop around because there's still plus 105s out there for this season. I don't understand. So, I do a show Monday through Friday called Coaching Company and blah, 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 blah. Last Friday, I said the New York Knicks were going to win this just before the series started. It's on recording. They made a clip on it because I like the joke because it's a guy from ESPN Radio New York that's on the show with us. I made a joke, said, hey, the Knicks were going to win the series prize. We're winning a series. They all laughed at me. They all, oh, you're an idiot. You're a joke. You don't know nothing. And then right before the show ended, I said Knicks were going to sweep the series. Whoa. And then stuff like that. So now I'm sitting pretty. I don't understand. The Celtics, you live by the 3, you die by the 3. And right now they are tanking by the 3. And they're not going to change. I'm tired of Tatum saying, oh, we just need to drive the basket more. Give me a break. Yeah, first quarter, you're going to drive the basket. Second, third, fourth, jack up threes all game long. Right now, they're just not making their shots. Unless they go gung-ho and start making their shots, they can maybe win 2 games. But you know how loud MSG is going to be in that game? It's going to be crazy. And then don't even get me started with the time of that game. Really? 3 o'clock? What are you doing, NBA? There's nothing else. And put this in an evening game. What are you doing?
All right. Similar situations with the Knicks Celtics series and the Cavs Pacer series, where road underdog steals the first 2 games, coming back home, still posted it as underdog, 5.5 and both lines. Walk me through this. Why are these lines not closer? Like Indiana and New York have already proven that they are just as good as these powerhouse teams, right? Technically, they're better since those 2 teams are 4-0 in those 2 series. So, like, what is this? Is this just disrespect? Is there still value here on these home underdogs? I mean, you mentioned about Madison Square Garden. That is a difficult place to play, especially with the playoff energy. Indiana is a completely different beast when they are in their own arena as well. They're a wagon at home. I think both teams are in very serious trouble, and I don't feel like the odds are giving an accurate reflection of where these teams are at, what these matchups are at, and where these series are at. You agree with that?
Yeah, but we're looking at 2 totally different series. Cleveland, we have injuries, and I think the money moved because of injuries coming in, and that's probably the reason why we've seen it. This one right here, maybe, Boston beat them 4 straight in a regular season. Well, last time I checked my calendar, this is playoff ball. and right now you're down 2-0. I don't understand the disrespect that they're giving the Knicks. They I mentioned they shoot by the three, they die by the three. Are they going to hit their shots in a loud Madison Square Garden with Lee going up and down the court, making fun of these guys? This is more disrespect than I think the Cleveland series, just because of the Madison Square Garden loudness, how easily the Knicks came back from 20-point lead. It wasn't like there was jacking up threes and they won by 3-pointers. They were just out hustling, out rebounding. The bench played really well. The three guys that actually come off the bench in the Knicks, they got some good quality minutes, and Boston just didn't have any answers.
I'm not 100% ready to write Boston off in this series, just because we have seen over the last several years, and particularly last year, they were actually better on the road last year in the postseason than they were at home. I don't know what it is. It's just kind of a quirk. But I wouldn't be stunned if they could steal game 3 backs against the wall type of thing. But at this point, again, it's about the numbers, right? And I just think the numbers in both of these series are off. And frankly, I don't think, I have nothing but respect for the odds makers in general. But right now, I have no trust in the odds makers. None of these lines on any of these games have been even close to the results. Over the last 25 games in the NBA playoffs, the underdogs have won 17 of the 25 games outright. Several of those outright wins coming with double-digit underdogs. And then even the last 2 nights, we finally had some favorites covered. Those games weren't even close to the numbers. You don't usually see this in the playoffs. Usually people are marveling at the odds makers' acumen here because they post a 6.5 and it ends up being an 8-point game, right? Something like that. Like, they're not even close right now. I don't even feel like they're that close with their totals either. So, for those of you out there, if you're feeling good, if you're feeling confident right now, keep firing. Don't think that the books have some big edge on you right now, because frankly, they seem just as clueless as everybody else as to what's going to happen on a game-to-game basis.
One thing you have to think about as well, because most of these games, the books are sitting pretty, because you know what they're doing? They're parlaying these games. And they're thinking, ooh, baseball favorites still coming in pretty cleanly, even though the books took a bath on baseball favorites last month. So if you're parlaying, let's say Yankees, Dodgers, and popular teams, and now you're going to add Celtics money line and Cleveland money line the first 2 games. Well, yeah, they didn't win those 2 games, so they cleaned up on the parlay. So now they're sitting pretty. So you have to look at that adjustment what the books are doing money-wise and point-wise because of people parlaying.
Well, my partner, you can tell Raphael and I have been partners a while, doing this together a while. He just lobbed that one up for me. This is where I tell you, don't parlay. That is why parlaying is stupid. If you parlay, you are square. You are an amateur. You are not going to make money long term. I know it's fun. I know it's exciting. I know it's just like $20 here, $50 there on a parlay. Don't do it. It's dumb. You're wasting your money. All right, let's go to the Western Conference. Oklahoma City at Denver. Again, we have road favorites. Apparently, home court advantage doesn't mean anything in the NBA playoffs, because all 4 of the games, the 2 we have tonight, the 2 we have tomorrow, is road favorites. Is Denver being a little bit disrespected in this series, or was Denver able to steal game 1? Oklahoma City coming off an easy opening series win, had a few extra days off. Maybe they were kind of taking them lightly, and then they hit the Jets in game 2, and that momentum will carry over. Or is there a little bit of value with a Nuggets team that, last time I checked, a lot of those guys are wearing championship rings?
Yeah, I talked to my buddy EB over at Caesars earlier or in the week, and he was telling me, in this series right here, they believe OKC just came out a little rusty. And I'm like, okay, once OKC wins, this is before they whooped them by 40-plus points. I'm like, okay, let's say OKC comes back. Are they still going to be road favorites when they go to Mile High? He's like, yes, because he's like, the public money remembers what they saw all regular season, how OKC just mopped them up. And we all know OKC's bench can maybe beat probably 70% of the teams in the NBA. And I think that's why this number opened up at 4.5 and got moved to 5.5. Denver needs help. Their bench is not giving them nothing. Michael Porter, do something when you're on your court. Tie a shoe, get a foul, throw an elbow. You're giving him nothing. And then when you're putting all your hope and prayers on the energy of Russell Westbrook when he comes up, granted, he's had a fantastic playoff, Russell Westbrook. But if you're putting all your energy in that to help the Joker and Murray, he has a good game, doesn't have a good game, you're in trouble with this OKC team. I think that's why the bettors moved this a full point, because they saw 40 butt whooping, and most of those points were from the second stringers of OKC.
I talk about this a lot during the NFL season, particularly in the NFL playoff. I like to say you don't bet underdogs unless you think they're going to win outright. Is that your approach to all of these games? We have all these home underdogs. Do you look at it as, hey, there's value here one way or another? I got a home team. In a couple of these years, I got the teams that are up. I'm getting points. In the Denver OKC, okay, Oklahoma City is the better team, but I have the best player on the court. I have the home court advantage, the altitude advantage, and I'm getting the points. Do you look at it that way in terms of just straight up value, or should we be taking the approach that, look, if you think Denver wins this game, bet Denver. If you don't think Denver is going to win, just lay the points with Oklahoma City and don't worry about the number.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. Don't bet the underdog unless you think they're not going to win the game. This is one of those games where I want to take OKC, but I'm just going to wait back and see how the first quarter goes and maybe live bet it just to see how the tempo is. Because if you're Denver, you need this game to stay under the 232 right now. There's only 232.5 right now. You need an under game. But if you like OKC, then wait to see how low this total and bet OKC in the over. Because if OKC wins, we can see another ugly game like we saw in game 2. So I'm going to wait. I have no betting action at the doc site on this game, but I myself and my wallet, I'm waiting to live bet this to see how the first quarter goes.
Yeah, I think of these two games in Denver, I think it's going to be kind of like they were in Oklahoma City. I think we're going to get one relatively close game, and one of these games is going to be a bloodbath. And I wouldn't be surprised to see Oklahoma City win both of them. Maybe they win by 4 or 6 or 7 points in a game that's close down the stretch. And then the other one, they just boat race Denver and win by 15 or 18 points. So the final NBA series of the weekend, tomorrow night's game, Minnesota going to Golden State. It was pretty bleak for the Warriors without Steph Curry, although I will say, and this is something that you and I have touched on. This is a Ferringo special theory right now that played out yesterday. Team loses its star player, Raphael, and what happens? You bet the over. What happened last night in that game? Total of 201. I know it started real ugly, but 210 combined points. When you look at Golden State coming back home, again, home dog, again, low total. Is there any value with the Warriors in this situation, or any value on the total where the public is kind of overreacting and overcompensating for Steph Curry being out? Or is this just, I want no part of this, or I'm all in on Minnesota because the Warriors without Curry are nothing?
I think role players will be effective in Golden State, especially Steve Kerr. I'm talking to you. I know you watched the show. Why did you only play 11 minutes for Gary Payton Jr. On a game that you needed anybody that had fresh legs? I had a prop bet that I lost my big play as a prop bet. That's why I'm screaming at you, Mr. Kerr. But I think role players will be effective on this one. That's why if you like the over, which I tend to lean towards that one, grab it now, open up at 200. There's already a 201 that's out there, and I think it's a late game, 8:30. So the betting public will probably push this up to 201.5 or 202. But I'm all about Minnesota in this game. I think gentlemen sweep on this one. If Curry said yesterday, new injury, going to take it day by day, they're saying a week. There's no way he's coming back for game 4. There's no, if he's out there second guessing, I'm going to try to come back a week. I don't see him playing at all this year. By the time he's healthy, they're 1, 2, 3 Cancun already. So it's gentleman sweep for me.
I agree. I think that this, they're saying 7 to 10 days, 7 or 8 days. This series is going to be over in 8 days. Like even if I understand that what happened in game 1 and all that, and I'm not taking anything away from Steph Curry. Even if Steph Curry was playing in this series, I still think Minnesota was going to handle them in 5 or 6 games. I didn't think that they would just roll over them and sweep them. But this has always been a very bad matchup for the Warriors because of the athleticism that the Timberwolves can throw at them. So it's not going to surprise me if this one is a blowout. For me, it's Minnesota or nothing. I agree with you. Golden State will get a little bit of a bump at home, but it's not about the home crowd, right now. It's not about the home team. We're seeing this more and more, and we're about to talk about hockey where it's even more apparent. Home court just doesn't mean what people think it does at this stage of the playoffs, whether it's hockey or basketball. It is not this overwhelming force or factor that teams can't overcome. It's the same thing in the baseball playoffs. I would feel like there's always a ton of value with road teams because people overestimate home field and home court advantage at this stage of the playoffs. So do I expect Golden State to play better than that really gross first three quarters that they put together yesterday? Yeah, absolutely. Do I think that they're going to win? No, 100%. No. But then again, I'm pretty much the worst NBA handicapper on the planet right now for some reason this year. So I guess take everything that I say with a grain of salt. But all right, transitioning over to NHL. We're seeing it again. We saw it last night with Edmonton winning the first two games in Vegas. Could we see it again tonight with Dallas and that other Western Conference series? Are people overvaluing Winnipeg's home ice advantage in this one, Raphael?
I think so, but boy, last night, I mean, Vegas can make you a millionaire if you only bet first quarter with Vegas at home. They always dominate at home, and then they forget how to play hockey second and third period, which they did last night. So I feel bad for our boy that answers the phones in our company. I feel bad for him right now about a disrespectful game. But I like the Jets tonight. I'm a little bit shocked that this one got quickly moved up, opened up at $3 I missed it. I wanted to take Winnipeg, even though a lot of love on Dallas right now. We probably have the better goalie right now. I think that's why they've won their games, but it quickly got moved up to 1-45 at DraftKings and Winnipeg. So I'm going to wait to see if that comes down. But the game I'm more interested, the defending champ, they come home 0-2. I mean, and they're beatable at home. We've seen that already in the playoffs. What's their reaction going to be? They need this win. They can't go 0-3 at home because the mentality is you might be already fishing by the time you get the game for it if you drop your game in Florida. This one's going to be very interesting. We're really excited to see Florida and Toronto. And I can't believe we're at round 2, and there's so many Canadian teams still playing hockey.
So you're going to have to explain this money line to me as well in that Toronto, Florida, because I bet I was tailing Strike Point Sports, who had a small play on Washington at home last night, plus 150. I loved it. I wished I had used it. Just too much value, right? Like, why is Washington a home underdog at plus 150? Like, if they were plus 110 yesterday, maybe it's a stay away, but at plus 150, kind of the same. By the way, Strike Point Sports is 18-2 in their last 20 high games. I got to give a little shout out there. That's as good a run as you're ever going to see in any sport. But Raphael, I'm having similar vibes with this Toronto line. Like, why are they plus 200? Why are you getting 2-1 on a playoff team, playoff hockey, second round, team that's up 2-0 in the series? Like, Florida might win. Okay. Oh, it's a must win. They have to win to save their season. You know my theories on that. You always bet against teams in must win situations because only bad teams put themselves in must win situations. But explain to me how this line is absolutely ridiculous and that Toronto should maybe be plus 145 if you want to give that. But why is Florida like a minus 240 favorite at home? Like, this line is ridiculous.
It is, but it isn't. I'm going to speak on an odds maker point of view. The defending champs come back home down 0-2. The Joe public is going to be all over parlays and stuff like this. You make this as high as respectable you can because you know the money is going to come in on parlays in Florida, which is I opened up at 220. I've even seen a 245 on this one. So the betting public is pushing this one up to. I'm on the other side as a handicapper. I'm waiting to see how high this one. Toronto's won 5 of their last 6 road games. They've been playing outstanding hockey on the road. Why is this number so high? Because the odds makers are telling you, we're going to make this high because we're going to get it all to the parlay bettors. It's going to add baseball. They're going to add the Dodgers on this one. They're going to add Minnesota Timberwolves money line on this parlay. This is smart bookmaking for them. But for guys like us who are trying to find the best value and stuff like that, we're benefiting on this.
Yeah, because again, it just plays into my anti-parlay screed. You're right. The books are pricing in the parlay action, which probably makes up a majority of their handle on any given day. They're probably taking more parlay bets and more handle and parlay bets than they are in straight bets. But that's opening
especially
up
in the NHL. I mean, sorry
right.
to cut you off. Especially in
Yeah.
the NHL, I always tell people there's probably the fifth betting sport in the U.S. and you guys can do the math. NFL, blah 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 blah. But the NHL does not get the love in the betting world, not TV viewing, not the ratings, not the fan base. In the betting world, NHL is probably the fifth.
And that's why it's creating an opportunity for single game bettors here on Toronto. If they're going to be plus 200 today, and if Florida wins, that means they're going to be plus 220, plus 210, something like that in game 4. I like Toronto. I said early on at the beginning of the playoffs, early on in that Ottawa series, I said Toronto is going to the Eastern Conference Finals. That this Toronto team is different than the past Maple Leafs teams that we've seen for the last 10, 15, 20 years, the chokers. I think that this team is different. So, all right. Hey, Jimmy Bourgeois, thank you for joining us. Any thoughts on the Red Sox-Royals game today? All right, you're making a nice, easy, smooth transition for us into some weekend MLB action. I know Kansas City is coming off of a 10-0 win yesterday because I had the over in that game. I also know that our man, Arun Shiva, the Indian Cowboy, does have a 7-unit play in this game. I'm not going to tip my hand on whether it's a side total or who he likes in terms of this one. But me just speaking for myself, I'm actually looking at Boston just because Kansas City is a team that I was looking to fade coming into the season. They were a team that I'm not high on at all. I don't think that they're as good as they were last year. I can tell you that my 8-unit futures play this year was on Kansas City's season win total under. And I feel like things are setting up well to start betting against the Royals. They're now 4 games over 500 after a little bit of a slow start. And I know they're riding a 6-game winning streak, but look who they just beat. They just beat up on your White Sox, Raphael. Those wins shouldn't count.
The Pope's White Sox.
Right. You should only get credit for half of a win when you beat the Rockies or the White Sox. So the idea that they're riding a 6-game winning streak and that the Royals are somehow this hot team right now, I'm just not buying it. I'm a little bit surprised that Boston is as thick of a favorite as they are in this game just because of the pitching matchup. I don't know how much I'm trusting Hunter Dobbins just because he really hasn't thrown that much. He's a rookie. Can you trust him on the road? But for me, I'm looking at it as the fact that Boston is such a healthy favorite on the road against a team that's won 6 straight with a rookie starter, that smells a little funny to me. Seems like a little bit of a trap line trying to bait action on the home underdog Royals. But Raphael, what do you think? Am I reading that number right? You have thoughts on this?
I think the number's correct. As of right now, was it 1:30 or 2:30 Eastern Standard Time? Normally baseball numbers really start moving in about an hour. You'll start seeing nickels and dime movement because people are betting because before the game starts. But I was leaning towards the under on this game. Yes, they beat up the Pope Sox yesterday, scoring 10 runs. But their last 10 games, there's 7 of them gone under the total. They've been struggling to score runs on this one. I was actually looking to maybe play Royals team total under 3.5, but the juice was just a little bit way too high on me. So I was actually looking for an underplay, and the wind is blowing in. And I think Michael Lorenzo's last 4 starts, 3 of them gone under the total. I think the last one, someone scored. The Casey scored 11 runs on that one, which is an anomaly because I think they played. I can't remember Baltimore, I think it was on that one, but I'm leaning towards the under at 9. I wouldn't go high. There's some 9 -3 nickels out there. I wouldn't lay the -120 or -122. Make sure. I always tell people if you're going to bet a total in baseball, try not to bet the evil -120. 3 nickels, -105, or even money. Those are the numbers you want to get.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you on the number. I didn't realize that this total was still floating around out at 9 under. Not only does Kansas City, they can't hit, they don't score, but Boston really hasn't been either. They're only averaging 4 runs a game over their last 8 games. 6 of those games were at home. Very hitter-friendly environment there in Boston. Not as much so in Kansas City. This is also one that has some potential for some in-game total betting on the under. Because, again, you got that rookie starter. Maybe he gives up a couple runs in the first 3 innings. Maybe Lorenzen gives up 1 or 2 runs, and we can see that total creeping up into double digits. But 2 good bullpens, 2 shaky lineups. yeah, I can get behind the under here as well. All right. So Raphael, what else are you looking at this weekend in baseball? Do any series jump out at you? Is there any pitcher or situation that you've scouted for Friday or for Saturday that caught your eye?
Yes, I played the Mets series price, even though they're playing my Cubs. This has nothing to do with my fandom, but the Cubs are losing starting pitchers left and right. I mean, their pitching is the reason why they lose in games. They're batting, they take walks, they steal bases, they hit home runs. Offense, great. Pitching and bullpen sucks right now. So I'm looking for the Mets, who have been my kind of surprise so far team. Besides the Seattle Mariners this year, I thought the Phillies and Braves would be not dominating that division, but be up there. So I would have to say the Mets. I think take care of business against a team that needs pitching right now. And I can guarantee, I'm hearing from all my sources that the Cubs are picking up the phones and trying to get pitching to come there, because the Cubs have a really really deep farm system that you can try to trade away some stuff. So that one's gonna put my eye. I got UFC on my brain as well, so I got everything going as well. I'm excited for a little bit baseball action.
Yeah, I see that they don't even have a starter listed for tomorrow against Tyler McGill. They do have Jameson Taillon going tonight, who's a guy that I kind of like. He's got some kind of sneaky good stuff going on.
When he's
right
good,
now.
he's good, but when he's off, he gives up softballs.
100%. He's a pitch to contact kind of guy. He's not going to blow anybody away. But riddle me this about your Cubs, because I actually kind of see this series from the other side. Ironic, because I'm the Mets fan, you're the Cubs fan, and we're both in it. I just feel like the Cubs have some mojo, right? Like early on in the season, they have won some dramatic games. They have played some dramatic games. They just seem to have that little lucky rabbit's foot going for them right now, where I just kind of like the vibe of this team. And the other thing that I like about Chicago is they can hit. Nobody can hit in baseball right now. All the Cubs can hit. I think they're number one in runs scored, number two in team batting.
Number one in walks, too.
I like the fact that they have an offense that can go out there and throw up 7 or 8 runs on somebody, especially if they do have someone like Taillon on the mound, who maybe he won't overwhelm you, but you have to kind of expect a quality start from him, right? Like maybe give up 2 or 3 runs, go 5 or 6 innings. A lot of teams don't have the offense that can compensate for that, but the Cubs kind of do. On the other hand, I feel like the Mets ran off to that MLB best start, maybe played a little bit above their heads. I think they're coming back down to earth just a little bit. They are coming home from a long road trip. They had, that doubleheader last Sunday in St. Louis. Then they go right to Arizona, win that series, which I thought was kind of telling from them, but maybe have a little bit of a letdown after that road trip and lose tonight. And then I think it could come down to, who the Cubs trot out on Saturday. Maybe the Mets get that one. And then your series price will hinge on Sunday's game. At least that's what I'm hoping. But all right, I want to talk about that Arizona LA Dodgers. The game last night, as you noticed, the steam moved to Arizona. Diamondbacks win the game. Okay, now you can't argue with the result. Can't argue, did they deserve to win the game? Okay, they scored 5 runs. They got a grand slam in the 5th inning. They won by 2 runs, but they used a ridiculous double play. And I think it was the 7th inning, the 8th inning. Michael Conforto hits into a double play after they had already scored 2 runs to sniff out a rally right there. So maybe a little bit of a misleading score. But the thing that jumped out at me today on this Friday line is that Arizona was favored flat out today. This was not a line movement favorite. They're favored at home against the Dodgers. You don't see the Dodgers underdogs very much against anyone, especially someone that they are arguably better than, have a better record than. And Eduardo Rodriguez, okay, what are we making of this guy, this number, this situation? Just help me break down what's going on in this Dodgers Diamondback series.
I think this is a bullpen game. I mean, because Rodriguez doesn't go past 4 or 5 innings, so you figure he's going to get X'd out. And I realized last night, the reason why I liked Arizona last night, don't forget the Dodgers had to fly all the way across country to play. Like, they didn't have any days off. So that was a horrible travel for them. And I just don't understand all the Dodger money that was coming in. I'm with you. I'm totally kind of fused on this one, because I'd rather take the Dodgers in this spots, because I think their bullpen will be a little bit better than the Arizona was last night. So the Dodger bats, I think, wake up today. Otani hit a home run yesterday. Freddie Freeman's starting to heat up. So another thing, where's Max Muncy's power? It's missing. It's MIA. What's he do? What did he do in the offseason? Did he not work out? Did he not lift weights? Did he not shoot up? I mean, wow, what a total. Where did Max Muncy's offense go?
For me, it comes back to Rodriguez. He has become one of those guys that I'm pretty much looking to bet against every time I see his name on the board. I think this guy is washed. His ERA is in the high five so far this year. Last year, his ERA was 5.04.
You think enough 10 hits to Miami?
Yeah, like his velocity is down. Like his average fastball is below 92 miles an hour. This was a guy, he had a big contract year in 2023, right? He signs a big deal, moves out to Arizona. He was terrible in the years before his contract year, and he's been terrible in the 2 years since. His ERA the 2 seasons before that big 2023 was like 4.5, 4.75, kind of in that range. So it was going to be wary when a guy has a big contract year, right? So I just don't see it with Rodriguez. I think he's washed. The Dodgers are usually pretty good against left-handed pitching, and he's just somebody that I'm going to have my eye on, Eduardo Rodriguez, that is, that especially if he's still getting this love from the odds makers right now, this guy could be very profitable to bet against if he continues to trend the way that he is, which is a well below average MLB starter. I mean, in today's Major League Baseball, with hitting and runs as difficult and as low as they are, to have a 5 ERA, that's tough, man. You gotta be pretty bad in that. So
it's funny how you say that, because I'm going to answer Jimmy's question. He says he likes the Tigers on the run line today. I do a show that they actually have a banner, because we call it Patrick Corbin Day, because that's one thing we're always looking at fade. Patrick Corbin. And who's on the mound today? The Texas Rangers have Patrick Corbin. So Jimmy, I actually like that play, because I'm always looking to fade Patrick Corbin. I'm Patrick Corbin Day.
Sure. Worry a little bit about Detroit having to play 2 games like that doubleheader.
Because Patrick Corbin's on the mound.
Right. Well, not only that, but the doubleheader was against the Rockies yesterday, so it wasn't a real doubleheader. I think they outscored them 21-3 in the 2 games. Neither one of those games are close.
They had more errors in the 2 games than they had runs.
Yes. You have Tariq Skubal on the mound tonight. He may give the bullpen a day off, and I could see him going 8 innings against a Rangers lineup that really is struggling and really isn't hitting the ball. So yeah, right now everything's coming up Tigers. I 100% agree on that one. So all right, Raphael, do you got a free play for the people before we get out of here?
Yeah, it's a late game today. That's why I wanted to say this one. And I've been following this trend a lot and this team a lot. It's been making me some good money. The Seattle Mariners team total over 3.5 at -130 and 4.5 at +140. They've hit both numbers in 8 out of their last 10 games. And Seattle's averaging almost 5 runs per game at home. Where did the Mariners' offense come from? They're normally an under team year after year after year. I love watching the Mariners. They take their walks. They move base. They move guys over. They're not a big home run hit machine. They play baseball like how baseball is supposed to be played, and it's showing in their record, and it's showing when they cross runs over the plate.
Yeah, what is it? 9 straight series, I believe, that they've won. Seattle very quietly just stacking wins out in the West. I'm going to stay out West, and I'm going to stay in baseball. I'm going to take Baltimore. You know what? Let's go with the run line, -1.5. I think you're getting +120 on this against the Angels. There are certain teams that, when in doubt, just bet against the White Sox. When in doubt, just bet against the Rockies. Well, very quietly, for me at least, the Angels are sliding into that category. I loved the fact that they got off to a little bit better than average start, a little bit better than expected start in early April, which we see that happen all the time, right? Like we see teams that eventually lose 95 or 100 games play 500 ball through April. That's the Angels right now. This is a bad baseball team. They have injuries. They don't have much talent. They have less than no pitching. And they're trying out another one of your Cubs former boys, Kyle Hendricks. This guy should not still be in the major leagues right now. His average fastball is 86 miles an hour. It's like Jamie Moyer used to be, but Kyle Hendricks ain't no Jamie Moyer. Once again, his ERA is over 5. If you take out that one anomaly year of 2023 for Kyle Hendricks, where he had like a 3.76 ERA in his 24 starts, I think it was, over his last 80 starts over the last 4 seasons, his ERA is 5.16. Even if you include that 2023 season where he was oddly effective, his ERA over the last 5 years, 4.82. Again, Kyle Hendricks is not a major league caliber starting pitcher. I am going to bet against him every time I see his name on the board. Baltimore starting to play a little bit better, starting to hit the ball a little bit more, starting to get their pitching a little bit more in line. Tonight's starter, 35-year-old rookie, Tomoyuki Sugano, has been pretty good for them. 3.0 ERA. So tonight I like Baltimore. Lay the run line, plus 120. Be sure to check out Raphael's page tomorrow, by the way. I am certain that he's going to have some top plays, probably in UFC and maybe some of the other games going across the board. We will be back next Friday with What Are the Odds? We will be breaking down some WNBA stuff. We will be breaking down some Preakness action next week, so be sure to check that out as well. Thank you for taking your time to spend with us. Carpe diem, and good luck. And don't forget to call your mother this weekend. Take it easy.